So you have made your loan application and you've got your pre-approval. You've provided all your documents, and with that letter in hand, you are ready to go home shopping. So
that's the fun part. We get together, we set up a search portal based on your search criterias, and you're alerted on a daily basis whenever a new home hits the market that fits your ideals. And what's awesome about that is we can communicate back and forth inside of that portal with your favorites, with the ones you don't like so much. And so it helps hone it in to find the home. Once we have a couple that we want to go see, we set up a day and we schedule showings. And that's the fun part. It really is just walking through the home and getting a feel for the neighborhood and falling in love with it. So hopefully we go out a time or two and you find the right home and we start the offer process.
And that's, when you need to have that pre-approval letter.
Absolutely.
So it's always a Saturday afternoon at 6 o'clock, or it's a Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock.
Right.
And you're, in your garden or whatever, and you need that pre-approval letter. So if you've gotten it all done in advance, then all we've got to do is match the terms of your contract that you come up with and match the letter to that so that you can have your letter ready to go.
Right. And so there's a lot of negotiable items in that contract. It's not just the sales price. So we're negotiating the length of your option period. If you're going to have an HOA, if you pay the HOA transfer fees or the seller does, or who's paying closing costs, if you want a residential services agreement. So there's lots of nuances in there that I help guide you through and advise you as to what's going to fit your needs specifically.
Right. And, once you've got your all the terms are fully agreed to, and then we're going to take your what's called a loan estimate. We're going to create that for you that tells you per the terms of that sales contract what your house payment looks like and the amount of money that you need for closing, etc. So that you'll have that in advance.
So once we have an executed contract, that contract goes to your lender and also to the title company. And then we get started in the option period. So the option period is generally a couple of days to a week where you're able to hire an inspection to have an inspector come out and look at the house and make sure there's nothing hidden that was unseen while we toured the house. In that option period too, we also negotiate if there's any repairs that are required. Sometimes that's a credit in lieu of repairs. Sometimes that's, the seller is actually doing that.
And the thing is that once you've got all the terms agreed to and you've gotten through, you know what you're buying. If you do a seller credit and they pay a portion of the closing costs in lieu of the seller doing repairs, we make those adjustments. But it is at the time that option period is expired, that's when we collect for the appraisal fee. And there's a lot of things we're going to do here as the lender. Number one, we're going to order the title work to be completed. And then we're also going to, if a survey is needed, we're going to order a survey. We're going to order the appraisal. Again, that's the only thing that you pay for up front before you close, other than your inspection. And that appraiser is going to go out and appraise the property, make certain that you're not paying too much for it and that we're not lending too much on it. And once that comes in, it'll also determine if there's any lender required repairs that may be needed, which might need to be discussed again with the seller. So this process of negotiating just kind of goes on throughout the transaction, but there are steps. And
there's also deadlines all along the way that we're keeping you up to speed on as to when those are. And a lot of it is the title company and the lender working behind the scenes. I mean, the title company is running searches to make sure that the seller has full rights of ownership of that property in order to transfer ownership to you at closing and funding. If there's an HOA, they're making sure that that property is in good standing and that the HOA company is in good financial standing. So those are things that kind of happen behind the scenes for you.
We're setting up your home insurance, for your hazard insurance and your liability insurance. But just rest assured, we have got everything on our checklist to make certain that your closing goes smooth. And as we get, like I said, once everything is in, it's all completed, then we go to closing.
That's right. And so 3 days prior to closing, one of those deadlines, Bill,
is the initial closing disclosure. And we have to redisclose our fees so that whatever we told you in our estimate actually is in line with what the actual figures are going to be. And we're holding certain tolerances there. So that initial closing disclosure goes out, and then that's within a couple $100 of what your actual figures will be. and then we'll get the final figures. But I'll tell you, the closing process, there's so many different ways that it can be done with regards to if it's done remotely or with a mobile closer or in person.
And we can do another episode to dive deeper
Absolutely.
into the closing steps. That's also the fun part, is closing and getting your keys and being a new homeowner. But if you have any questions about the home buying process, we invite you to comment below so that we can address that in future episodes. And if you like the content that you're watching, just please like and share and follow along. And of course, if you're ready to start that process, reach out to Bill or myself, and we would love to get started with you.